You painted a miniature and you hate how it turned out, right? Do you throw the whole thing out and start over with a new one? Maybe, but that miniature is pretty pricey. Why don't we just go ahead and we just strip this awful paint job off this miniature and try it again? Hello hobby friends, my name is Jesse. I am that tabletop guy. On this channel I make videos about painting miniatures for tabletop games such as Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Dungeons and Dragons, and any other game that uses little plastic miniature people to represent things. In this video I want to talk about how do we strip off miniatures, paint off miniatures. Maybe we painted and the miniature and we're not happy with the result. Maybe we got a bunch of used minis off eBay because new miniatures can be a little pricey for some games, and they are painted in a way that does not suit our army. Or maybe we're afraid to pick up the brush and actually paint that mini because it is so expensive and because we're not confident in our painting abilities. So I'm going to show you how to safely remove paint from a miniature, strip it down to the primer or the bare plastic so you can repaint it all over again. The first thing now I want to talk about is stripping paint versus repriming the miniature and just spraying over the paint with the miniature. In most cases, you can generally spray over your mini with primer and start again without worrying about obscuring the details of the miniature. Now, if you do this enough, eventually the paint will get so thick in the miniature that you'll start to lose detail. Generally speaking, you don't have to strip paint off miniatures. I like to strip the paint miniatures down to as bare as I can get them, just because I'm a little OCD that way, a little neurotic that way, I guess you could say. I like knowing every detail about the paint that's on my miniature. I don't know why. It's just the way I am. So I prefer to strip over respraying, but you can very easily just take this miniature here, this god awful Santa Claus Marine that I painted, and I could just take black primer and spray over top of this and go back to square one very easily. But I'm going to show you how to strip the paint off instead. In order to strip the paint off miniatures, I use a degreaser such as LA's Totally Awesome Degreaser that I get at my local dollar store. You're also going to need water for rinsing, gloves to protect your hand, because I found out the hard way that after stripping 30-40 Space Marines, my skin was starting to strip off from the chemicals in the degreaser. Gloves are not optional for this process. You're also going to need paper toweling and an old toothbrush you don't mind wrecking. Go to the dollar store or Walmart, pick up a cheap, medium bristle brush. You don't want something that's too soft, but you don't want it too firm either. And look for something that's like less than $1. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. Do not use your wife's electric toothbrush for this process. I warned you. If you do, you can't blame me for it because I warned you. The basic process of stripping paint off minis is we're going to soak it in our degreaser 10 to 20 minutes. We're going to remove it, we're going to scrub it gently with that brush, and that friction from the bristles of the brush is going to be what takes the paint off the miniature. And we're going to repeat soaking and brushing as needed until we get as much of the paint off as we can. Once we're done, we're going to rinse it in clear water, pat it dry with a paper towel, and let it air dry completely. Once it's done air drying, you're then ready to prime it. See my earlier video linked below, and paint it up all over again. So there you have it. Stripping miniatures is a dead simple process. Takes a little bit of work and time and a little bit of material, but overall it's not a bad process. So if you've been holding off painting that miniature because you're afraid you're going to ruin the paint job and therefore ruin the miniature, stop it. I just showed you how easy it is to strip miniatures. So go ahead, pick up that brush, bravely paint that miniature, and develop your skills as a miniature painting artist. And before you know it, you'll be painting fantastic miniatures. I hope you got some value from this video. If you did, hit the subscribe button down below, and here's another video right here. Or is it here? Either way, here comes another video that you might like just as much as this one, and I'll see you in the next video.